Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Secretary. The issue of making sure that our democratic institutions are intact should be a responsibility of everyone. And after all, we all voted for the sanctions against Russia. Mr. Secretary, the history between the United States and Puerto Rico is one full of legal, political, economic, and social injustices. While 5 minutes won't be enough time to go through the list of things where U.S. policy has failed Puerto Rico, allow me to highlight how your administration has managed to further worsen conditions. After one of the worst natural disasters, your administrations continue to ignore Puerto Rico's healthcare system, a system that is crumbling before our eyes. The difference in Medicaid funding, such as lower matching rates, places a much greater burden on Puerto Rico than on other states. In addition, President Trump fails to see that the new tax law you all brag about is actually harming Puerto Rico at a time when Puerto Rico needs our help to jumpstart its economy. Let us be clear, the new tax law discriminates against Puerto Rico, removing the special incentives that the island relied on and treating Puerto Rico as a foreign country. Treating Puerto Rico as a foreign country that has over 100,000 active duty troops ready at any given time. A foreign country that from 1998 to 2016 has paid approximately $74.4 billion in federal taxes. Tell me which country around the world pay federal taxes to the U.S. Treasury. Puerto Rico does. Yet, because of its treatment as a foreign country, the new tax law imposes a 12.5% tax on the income companies receive from intellectual property. What a way to kill the manufacturing sector in Puerto Rico. Another example of this unequal treatment is the community disaster loans that were included for Puerto Rico in the October supplemental. Loans instead of grants, another insult. Don't you agree with me that this is outrageous, that is cruel, that when a natural disaster strikes and people ask for disaster relief, paper towel is an insult? So, Mr. Secretary, my question for you is it acceptable, in Treasury's opinion, to fund and provide disaster relief so slowly that it has taken the lives of more than 1,000 residents in Puerto Rico, that over 270 Puerto Ricans have committed suicide on the island after Maria, that almost 30% won't have power until this summer, nearly a year after Maria? Would this be acceptable in Houston, Louisiana, or Florida? I am sure people will be rioting in the streets. Do you think the people of Puerto Rico are any less entitled to restoration of essential services than any other U.S. citizens? So, Mr. Secretary, please tell me if this is acceptable.
Well, let me first comment that I do share your concerns. It is first.
I want for you to share my outrage.
Any loss of life is a great tragedy. As it relates to the various different topics that you've discussed, I'm personally not familiar with the health care issues, although I will follow up and look into that.
What about the tax bill, treating Puerto Rico as a foreign country?
As it relates to the tax law, and again, I've had the opportunity to meet with various business and things, they have a situation where they're collecting their own taxes in lieu of federal taxes. And the last part I would just say is we are working very closely with the government to get them funding to deal with the result of
How
that.
many
The
more
time of the
lives have to-
gentlelady has expired. The committee now stands in recess.